Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Bethesda Sabbath Fellowship. We are virtual. Get used to it. We'll stay this way for a while. You can call if you want to, 612-315-6778. We do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence, what's the why behind whatever is going on. We try not to be disparate. We try to make sense for Bethesda Sabbath Fellowship, and truth is being thrown to the ground. This is actually from Daniel chapter 8. And is there a timeline that we can add to this? Can we say, okay, we had truth or somewhat like truth for the past, say, 6,000 years, and now we're in this state of confusion because our leaders are gaslighting us. And when do we get to lies? So the timeline's bigger than this, obviously, but we have seen ridiculous statements being made lately, and no one says, hey, you're gaslighting us. Or a few people do, but not many, not many. So we've got the bigwigs. We've got the World Economic Federation saying, hi, we're building a world tyranny where everyone will be slaves with no rights, property, or privacy. Seems like most of you are okay with that, so thanks. And it lists off some of the most powerful people in the world. Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, various princes and kings and things like that, not for your benefit. Yep. So truth is crashing to the ground, and we'll get to that in Daniel 8 in a little bit. But I wonder if we're post-trib already, or truth, post-trib I believe in, but are we post-truth? We'll find out. We'll analyze this. Many people think this is the great robbery. They call it the Great Reset, but it's really a great robbery. They're taking your land, your housing, your farming, your bodily autonomy, your money, your travel, your resources, your civil liberties. And they're using fraudulent leaders like this Zelensky out of the Ukraine. There is no victory over there. There is crime, there is lying, there is corruption. And so honestly, with big tech and the election fraud these days, we don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us and weren't actually voted in. And that's the problem right now. Who's doing this, and why are we allowing this, and how do we stop this? So there he is again, Klaus Schwab. He controls these people. And really what he's trying to do first is destroy our common sense. And so what is a woman? Well, people are asking that question now. Why do we need two genders? Why can't children be sexualized? What is a depression? What is food? Why do we need farmers? Why do we need private property? Why do we need money? Why do we need laws? They're deconstructing our world right now, and we're taking it. That's the point, according to me, according to Daniel 8:12. Truth should be getting smaller as we approach the midpoint. So I think that's when truth is completely thrown to the ground. At the midpoint, truth should be cast to the ground, and lawlessness should be thoroughly dystopian. We're getting there. We're not there yet. No. But they are turning it into a situation where they don't want to run on fossil fuels, so we will be their fossil fuels, and they'll just consume us and eat us and things like that. And we're allowing this, okay? So bad for us, good for the globalists. Jeffrey Epstein. I don't always visit islands where hundreds of children are being trafficked, but when I do, I go 37 times. That's Bill Gates. Interesting, Pfizer shares profit records, continues raising prices. They're making so much money right now. So what we're seeing is more lockdowns that'll happen, especially around election times, more mandates, more sudden adult deaths, okay, more passports related to the jab, farmer crisis, supply chain crisis, cost of living crisis, net zero, digital IDs, lies. This is what we're moving in for, the death of truth. Why do we need the wokesters? I don't know. Why do they control the narrative? I don't know. But that's the problem. I mean, we have a few people at the top, but we have a lot of wokesters down below. And so the same people that live in this mess, in this trash mess, they want to tax the people who live here and destroy their environment that is beautiful. And so of the questions possibly asked right now, climate change, COVID, overpopulation, very few people think that that's destroying the world. Wokeness is 87.1% of the problem right now. Okay, so conspiracy theorists keep getting things right. Experts say that's dangerous. Yeah, but we keep on getting things right. But it's biblical, guys. It is. It really is biblical. And we'll show you the verses a little bit later on in the video. The World Economic Forum calls for an end to wasteful private car ownership. Great. Yeah, you'll have nothing. You'll be able to drive nothing. You'll have no freedoms. And you'll be happy. No, you won't. And bugs don't taste good. Trust me. So there's the masks from the COVID-19. More of a mess. So I wanted to show you that because they're saying, well, we have a climate emergency, but they made the climate emergency with all the things that occurred as a result of locking us down. So whenever Wikipedia doesn't like what's going on, they just change the definition. So recession was changed recently. Woman's been changed. That was edited in 2020. So you can look it up and see when they did change it, and then they locked it down afterwards. So recession is now not what it's always meant. And we know what it means. We're not that stupid. So German cities impose cold showers and turn off lights amid Russian gas crisis. Well, they created the crisis. You know, they said, well, we're going to go with solar power and wind power. Well, that's not working out very well. What happens if Russia turns off Europe's gas supply this winter? Oh, they'll freeze and die. We know that. No farmers, no food, no life. That's from Tyler from Zero Hedge. And so it's really a repeat of what Carla Peters wrote in Brownstown Institute. The world is now facing a man-made food catastrophe. It's reaching world crisis levels. Wow. Billionaire-funded eco group quietly taking farmland out of production in rural America. They're going to buy it up, take it out of production. People are going to starve. They're forcing the fourth seal upon us, the fourth horseman. Okay, the World Economic Federation, World Control, they want to ban cash transactions. So you'll have to use credit cards so they can track better and stop the purchases. Measure each citizen's carbon footprint for purchases. Now that's every normal person. The wealthy people will be able to get away with murder, private planes, all that stuff. Okay, they'll just pay a fee. Limit the card above target carbon threshold. This is where wisdom is needed. Those who understand should count the number of the beast, for this the number of a person, and its number is 666, Revelation 13:18. We're getting closer. Israel is becoming cash free, and so the war on cash is getting more drastic. That's Zero Hedge again. That's today, so I'm recording on Sunday, July 31st. So they'll stop you at 4,300, 4,360 in cash, and you'll have to go digital at that point in time. So it's interesting that it's coming from Israel, of all places. They've already had the lockdowns and destroyed their society over all those things. So that's where things are going. And then there's Plague Inc. that keeps on dying forward. You'll get sick and die. So they had planned for the monkeypox back in 2019. They were planning for it. So why the big rush by the FDA to license monkeypox jabs in 2019 when there was no cases then? Well, and then doctors are dying. 4, 5, 6 doctors, I think, in Toronto recently from the same hospital. And then, of course, this poor Mary Talley from Houston, Texas, wonderful doctor, wonderful human being. They're just trying to destroy her practice. And she really didn't do much at Houston Methodist, but she had questions. And so they've done everything to destroy her, and so she's suing. Good for her. Good for her. I hope she wins. She's a wonderful person. So Julian Assange said this a while back. He said nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been the result of media lies. Yeah, he's right. I can't even repeat what you see here, but you know that they aren't going to curtail the monkeypox because they know who is represented by it and what's causing it. It's not happening to women, just so you know. It's happening to one group. So there's going to be fights coming up, and so I want to move on with this because there's the war against the truth, but there's wars against wars. Okay, different sides, and they're fighting to just deconstruct everything. This is from Daniel 8. Now you can say definitely, positively, it states it in those verses in Daniel 8 that we're talking about Greece and Persia, no doubt about it. But there are some odd little sections in there, and we're going to show it to you. So it's not just Greece, Medo-Persia. I think it's the Antichrist and Messiah or anti-Messiah system versus the false prophet system, but it might be other systems. I might have gotten this one wrong, but I might be close enough to say there's a setting up for an end times battle, and I'll try to show you why. So we do the philosophy of the end of days. We try to show you the real prophecy. Try not to twist the Bible, fake news, and we are showing you basically how truth is being thrown to the ground from Daniel 8. Okay, so capitalist exploits. This is from Chris McIntosh. The Benefits of World Hunger. This was published a long time ago. This was published, I want to say like 2014 or something like that. And then they took it back down. So this guy, George Kent, professor, blah, 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 Hawaii, he said, hunger has a great positive value to many people. Indeed, it is a fundamental to the working of the world's economy. Hungry people are the most productive people, especially where there is a need for manual labor. Oh my, this is so horrible. And so so Zero Hedge is talking about this, and they're basically saying that somebody is exploiting the poor right now. And so this particular Zero Hedge article says, I have a strong fear that in September, it will be a time when many families will face the terrible choice of paying their electricity bills or buying food. We are absolutely willing to dialogue, but nobody's talking. So the statistics are pointing to a tragic situation in terms of oil, food, electricity, everything like that. And people are going to be hurt and die, and you're going to see upheavals like you've never seen before. So this is from Food Wars. So 2008 again, the United Nations person said, the benefits of world hunger for creating cheap, motivated workforce. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it was taken down by the UN within 24 hours. For those who depend on the availability of cheap labor, hunger is the foundation of their wealth. Much of the hunger literature talks about how important it is to assure people that they will be well fed so that they can be more productive. That is nonsense. No one works harder than hungry people. Yes, people who are well nourished have a greater capacity for productive physical activity, but well nourished people are far less willing to do that work. And that's the case in point right now. America's so wealthy that they really aren't working very hard, and they're getting older too. The elite class has a distinct motivation not to end world hunger. Yeah, they published this. Because if everyone is well nourished, there may be no one willing to provide cheap labor and slave away at some of the most physically demanding and unpleasant jobs on the planet. They do not include people who might be described as slaves to hunger. That is, those who are free to walk away from their jobs but have nothing better to go and do. Maybe most people who are working as slaves, who work as slaves. Oh, what? Maybe most people who work are slaves to hunger. Okay, that's Chris MACINTOSH. Continuing on with his article, for those of us at the high end of the social ladder, ending hunger globally would be a disaster. That's what this guy is saying in the article. There would be, if there were no hunger in the world, who would plow the fields? Who would harvest our vegetables? Who would work in the rendering plants? Who would clean our toilets? Who would have to produce our own food and clean our own toilets? Yeah, so the UN claims this article was satire, but they haven't ended hunger in the world. So basically, economic vulnerability and ecosystem failures are occurring, which predict a coming global collapse. Risk creation is outstripping risk reduction. Disasters, economic loss, and the underlying variables, vulnerabilities that drive risk, such as poverty and inequity, are increasing just as ecosystems and biospheres are at risk of collapse. Global systems are becoming more connected and therefore more vulnerable to an uncertain risk of the landscape. So Chris MACINTOSH is writing, and he's showing that this is the article from 2008 from the UN. Okay, so we're talking about the fights. We're going to jump back and forth and try to show you the fights that are occurring. And it's really systems. According to Daniel 7 and 8, we're talking about different systems that pop up. So Daniel 7 talks about the 4 systems. You've got first Babylon, then Medo-Persia, then Greece, then Rome, okay? And so that's in Daniel 7. So then we go to 8, and we're really talking more about the leaders, probably Alexander and then whoever happens to be the Medo-Persian leader. So let's talk about the 4th animal first. After this, I looked in the night visions, and there before me was a 4th animal. This is Rome. Dreadful, horrible, extremely strong, and with great iron teeth. It devoured, crushed, and stamped its feet on what was left. It was different from the other animals that had gone before it, and it had 10 horns. You'll see that in Revelation 13. While I was considering the horns, another horn sprang up, among them a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots, and in the horn were eyes like human eyes, and the mouth speaking arrogantly. Okay, so that's basically the Antichrist. So keep in mind, too, preterists believe that this has already occurred and it's done. I'm a futurist. And so I would say, yes, absolutely, this is talking about the king of Grecia, and I'm blanking. Yain, no, that's wine. I can't remember what Greece is in Hebrew, but it doesn't matter. And then Medo-Persian, no doubt about it. But here's the problem. There are some interesting words and phrases in Daniel 8 that make it seem like this is the end times. And also Daniel 7 goes all the way through to the end, because there is the iron mixed with the clay. And also there is from Daniel 2, which talks about the four kingdoms. There is also, yeah, the iron mixed with the clay, and that they don't mix very well. So it's always been my feeling that the Pope is going to be the false prophet. He looks like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. He has two horns. He basically has an east and west. He will be defeated by the Antichrist system, and there will only be one system at the end, and it'll be a fast system like Alexander the Great that happened very, very quickly. So then who's the Antichrist? Well, we'll wait and see. But he will be more like Alexander the Great. So this is now starting Daniel 8, and we'll get to it by verse 12, where we see truth being thrown to the ground. So let's dig through it. And I was beginning to understand when a shaggy male goat, keep in mind this is not a Zell type goat, came from the west, interesting, passing over the whole earth without touching the ground, like flying airplanes. The goat had a prominent horn between its eyes. It approached the ram, the Pope I'm arguing, with the two horns, which I had seen standing in front of the river, and charged it with savage force. I watched as it advanced on the ram, filled with rage against it, struck the ram, breaking its two horns. Why? Because there can only be one remaining system, the Antichrist, the demonic, the devilish system. The ram was powerless to stand against it. It threw the ram to the ground and trampled it down, and there was no one that could rescue it from the goat's power. The shaggy male goat then became extremely strong, and when it was strong, the big horn was broken, and in its place, we'll move on, arose what appeared to be four horns in the direction of the four winds of heaven. Out of one of them came a little horn, which grew extremely big in the directions of the south and the east, and in the direction of the glory. It grew so great that it reached the army of heaven. It hurled some of the army and the stars to the ground and trampled on them. That's Revelation 12, basically. Yet it was considered itself as great as the prince of the army. That would be as great as Yeshua. The regular burnt offerings, the Tamid offerings that happen every morning and afternoon, was taken away from him, and the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. I believe these things have not happened yet. We will have the offerings restart, and then they will be ceased at some point in time. Through sin, the army was put in its power, along with the regular burnt offering, the Tamid again. It flung truth to the ground as it acted and prospered. So you will see this final system, this little horn, prosper, act, and fling truth to the ground. And that's what we're starting to see more of right now. And that's how you tell where you're going with this world. It's not going to get better. So these 7 hills, I think they are people, they are basically, there's Elijah's list, okay? They think we're going to make this a better place, and the world is going to be a great, wonderful place. No, it's going to get worse, guys. It's going to get much worse. So truth is going to be flung to the ground, and we're going to watch it get flung to the ground. Okay, now we're going to compare and contrast between what we just saw in Revelation 13, 11 through 18. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and we don't know where. I'm wondering where. It had 2 horns, like those of a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. So once again, I believe that's not Roman Catholics. That's the Pope and a few of his people trying to unite into a false religious system. Okay, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast, the Antichrist, in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, the one whose fatal wound had been healed. So that's the horn that breaks off and then is healed. It performs great miracles, even causing fire to come down from heaven onto the people, onto the earth as people watch. It deceives the people living on earth by the miracles it is allowed to perform in the presence of the beast, and it tells them to make an image honoring the beast that was struck by the sword but came alive again. It was allowed to put breath into the image of the beast so that the image of the beast could even speak, and it was allowed to cause anyone who would not worship the image of the beast to be put to death. Also, it forces everyone, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on his right hand or on his forehead, preventing anyone from buying or selling unless he has the mark, as truth is being thrown down. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. So you either have the mark or you can't buy or sell. We're seeing that. This is where wisdom is needed. And we've read this before. Those who understand should count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a person. The number is 666. Okay, so now let's look at the other thing, which is the fight, because I mentioned there's an angelic fight going on too, from that Daniel 8 section, and we are yet to have this happen. This is future, guys, okay? So, Revelation 12, another sign was seen in heaven, and there was a great red dragon with 7 tails and 10 horns. So we see the 10 horns again, okay? And on its heads are 7 royal crowns. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of heaven and threw them down to the earth. It stood in front of the woman about to give birth, so that it might devour the child for the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child. Yes, the one who will rule all the nations with a staff of iron. But a child was snatched up to God and to his throne. And she fled into the desert, where she has a place prepared by God, so that she might be taken care of for 1260 days. It's future. That has yet to, it will occur at some point in time in the future, but it's yet to occur. For 1260 days. Next, there was a battle in heaven. There you go. We were talking about that in Daniel 8. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back, but it was not strong enough to win, so that there was no longer a place for them in heaven. The great dragon was thrown out, the ancient serpent, and this is about the midpoint, people. So you're going to see this occur. This is a Daniel 8 situation where the host of heaven, the Zava in the Hebrew, is cast out, and truth is cast out too. There's a lot of things cast out during the end times. So he's Satan, the devil, the adversary, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled down to earth. Do you see it again? There's the hurled down. A lot of things are hurled down during the end times. His angels were hurled down with him. A lot, and truth is being hurled down at that point in time too. So I just want to show you a couple of weird verses from Isaiah where we see that the earth is going to totter to and fro, like a drunkard, like a hut, heavy with pasha, which would be rebellious sins upon it, and it will fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day. But Yom Hahu is an end times phrase. Okay, but Yom Hahu. We say that from Zechariah 14:9. We sing it every week. Pakad, that's an accounting type of a term, will punish in an accounting way God on the Zava, the host of Marom. So these are the people not in heaven, not on the earth, they're in between. Okay, so the Marom is probably at the top of the mountains, all the way up to probably the moon. Okay, and so that's where this host would be. We'll call them the Watchers. Okay, and they're Ha-Marom, so they're in the Marom, but they are from the Marom. Okay, that's where they exist, and the kings of the earth from the earth. Okay, and so Ha-Adama and Ha-Adama, all Ha-Adama. Okay, fine. And they will be gathered together like prisoners and be shut up in a prison after many days. So that's typology that we just saw too from some of those verses. So I just want you to see consistently, cast down these fallen angels or watchers or whatever else. That's kind of Enochian talk, but it works. It's consistent throughout scriptures. And so this is Isaiah 24:20 through 22. Where are we in time frames? We are in the birth pangs. We seem to be in the 4th seal right now. I can't absolutely make a case for it, but we're definitely seeing signs of the 3rd seal. And then the tribulation happens, then the great tribulation. Timelines, I'm saying there's a truth timeline, people. You will see truth cast to the ground more and more and more. Okay? And you're going to also see more deaths occur. So the 4th seal sign, 4 different depopulation plagues. The broadsword is invasions, yes. Famine is number 2, that's Limo. And then death, that's Thanatos in the Greek, and that will be plagues, death plagues. And then the final one, I'm arguing it's a biological warfare, it's Therion in the Greek, and so Ramphea was the broadsword. And invasion seems to be the logical answer. You're seeing the invasions, but there will be more. And when people get hungry, they will invade in not so nice ways. And crop failures, we're seeing more. We are. So you'll see more deaths, and they're going to have little spikies, and you'll just see a lot more. These are non-CV natural deaths, and they spike at times. Get used to it. I wanted to show you a couple of other verses that were very interesting from Acts 17, because I'm always making the case that the judgment day should be Yom Kippur. So this is from Acts 17. Very interesting. While Hashem has disregarded and let pass the Am Ha'aretz, so the people of the earth, times of ignorance, now, however, Hashem, that's God, proclaims to all the children of Adam everywhere, make teshuvah. That is repentance. I'm showing you the Jewish version, the Orthodox Jewish Bible, because I want you to see the word word teshuva. Make teshuva. That is repentance. That is turning from your sins. Because he has set a day, okay? Set what day? Well, it's technically every year supposed to be Yom Kippur. That is the day of teshuva, okay? It just is. And which he is about to bring mishpat. That is righteous justice, okay? On the olam hazeh. That is the present earth. In Zadokah, which would be, Zadokah is righteous judgment, okay, and that's from Daniel 9:24, according to him. I agree. By an ish, a man, yes, Zechariah 6:12, whom he appointed, having furnished proof to all by having made him stand up alive again from the Mesim, so from the dead. And so he died, he resurrected, prefiguring the resurrection of all of us. Okay, and so I agree with him. So once again, he could return on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, or Sukkot. I'm arguing Yom Kippur because of the judgment that you saw in Acts just now. Okay, it's a wedding, clean garments, and deal with it, that you have to have clean garments. So be blessed. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you next week. Bye.